жесть.
Оце Тань.
Безпека! Швиденько, всі!
Чергово, власне, почалась тривога і загроза повторного удару. Все робимо максимально швидко, в перервах між обстрілами.
Це тільки по-бистрому, бо ви бачите, що не дай Бог опять почне. А воно до сих пор ще не горить.
So, welcome. First, I will talk a bit in Norwegian because there is a connection between Arendal and our friend city in Ukraine. So, first, I would say some words in Norwegian to our listeners, and then we'll continue our conversation in English. Velkommen alle sammen til Agderpostens intervju. Det handler om lokaljournalistikk i krig og krise. Og i dag så har vi med oss Oksana Brovko. Oksana har jobbet med journalistikk i veldig mange år, og er nå leder for rundt 40 regionale mediehus i Ukraina. Og det er veldig hyggelig å ha deg her på scenen. Litt om hvorfor du er her først. Agderposten har en vennskapsby i Ukraina. Den ligger ganske nær Russland, i regionen Sumi. En bitteliten lokalavis som heter... What's the name of the local newspaper in Bilopil? You must say it correctly, because I have some troubles saying it correctly.
It's Білопільщина.
Білopільщina, right. Thank you. Og denne avisen, her ser dere redaktøren og hennes ektemann. De ble intervjuet i en avis for et års tid siden, som heter Christian Science Monitor. Jeg sjekket litt med redaktøren i Vårt Land, og det er da en avis som på et vis ligner Vårt Land i USA. Men de var da på besøk hos de, for dette er da en avis som de holder på. De har gitt ut lokalavis i 105 år i vår vennskapsby, og de gir seg ikke. Og jeg hadde lyst til å invitere de hit til Arendal under Arendalsuka. Men som vi vet så krigen er på ingen måte over i Ukraina, og de klarte ikke å komme hit. Så da måtte vi ringe en av sjefene og fikk Oksana hit i stedet. Ordføreren i Bilopil har vi intervjuet i Agderposten. Han har besøkt Arendalsuka før. Her ser vi han sammen med Arendals ordfører Robert Cornels Nordli. Ordføreren i Bilopil var i Arendal i 2023 for å lære om Arendalsuka og vår demokratifestival. Og vi har også hatt gleden av å snakke med han tidligere. Så de er godt orientert om hvordan vi driver demokratifestival i Arendal. Og vi har også omtalt hvordan Arendal samlet inn penger til en multilader til ordføreren og de som fortsatt er igjen i Bilopil. Det var noe av det de hadde veldig behov for en periode. Som jeg sa, krigen er på ingen måte over. Dette er jo toppsaken i VG, en av toppsakene i VG i dag. VG kan jo da avdekke hvordan Russland bruker påvirkningsagenter og politikere i Norge for å fremme deres syn, og hvordan de blant annet bruker WhatsApp-grupper til å påvirke vanlige ukrainere. Vi så veldig dramatiske bilder av krigføring på video nå i stad. Men det vi også skal snakke litt om etter hvert er jo mer den hybridkrigen som drives mot innbyggere i Ukraina. Og ironisk nok så bruker vi også de samme mediene til å dele journalistikk. Og dette er jo da Oksana som har delt sitt møte med Espen Barth Eide i går. Så sånn er verden blitt. Vi driver ikke lenger og publiserer journalistikk kun i papiravis. Og her er jo Oksana som også har delt veldig mye av det Veldig spennende programmer og alt det gode arbeidet du gjør for journalistikk, både rettet mot Norge og andre steder. So then we'll continue our conversation in English, and I will say this only once. My English is maybe on the level of Jens Stoltenberg, the former NATO CEO. So my apologies for that. I'm sorry, Oksana, but welcome to us. First of all, for some time I was quite worried for our colleagues in our friendship newspaper in Ukraine, because I've been talking to them on Teams, and sometimes their buildings are shaking, and I thought, okay, now we don't have the time, they have to evacuate, and then say, no, it's okay, we can continue talking with you. But I looked for some signs that they were okay. But you have talked to them, and you can confirm that they are okay. And you even brought a newspaper with you. You can show it maybe. It's our friendship newspaper in Bilopil. And you can say the name again.
And Білопільщина, and actually there are pictures of your editorial office, you see,
really?
and your newspaper, and your front page of your newspaper here. This is the edition from January this year. And now, by the way, of course, war influenced very much on the market situation and on the media market situation. So this was Білопільщина. And they joined together the efforts with another super local newspapers in the region, and now we have another edition. It's in color, but we make it together. That's how war influence on media market. Білопілля, which is this one, and Краснопілля, it's another small city, small region in Sum region, and they are publishing today this new edition for two local societies in region.
And that is what we're going to talk about first, because I met you yesterday. And what interested me very much in our conversation, because you know the pictures we published here first of the traditional war journalists and the attacks. Mm-hmm. That is what you think about warfare journalism. But you mentioned something to me yesterday that I thought was quite interesting in the kind of hybrid war you are up against. First of all, you said that you see now that Russian infiltrators are trying to start these local community groups to infiltrate people, like WhatsApp groups and other kind of groups, to try to change people's mind around. Mm-hmm. Can you first of all tell me a bit about this?
No, actually, we have not started alone. They just implement their people, pro-Russia people, or Russian agents actually, in a very small targeted groups, like parents group at schools, or chats in WhatsApp of a house, of a building. Then people manage some housekeeping stuff, and they implement people with absolutely pro-Russia views to influence on these very small target groups. And that is something very common for Russian propaganda.
And often they wouldn't influence in the way that they would start saying things about what you think about the war. They would post on other topics like environmental topics, or what's the situation in our school, or they could start post things about what do you think about that we have to recruit more people to the army?
Absolutely. Then the full-scale invasion started in 2022. It was so easy to understand. There is channels and influence made by Russia, and there is pro-Ukrainian truth. But now they become more clever, and they go deeper and deeper, and they establish and launch a lot of pro-Ukrainian channels, and they use a small piece of truth and hyperbolize that, and try to destabilize local society on a super local level. They try to influence on women, on wives, and make them scary about mobilization for their husbands with stories like don't go out to the streets because you will be kidnapped, mobilized, and put right now on the front line and killed. Yeah, and of course, wives become worried. Yeah, or started to talk about, and mobilization. By the way, it's one of the topics in TikTok and Telegram bubbles to influence on these small target groups. Same with the level of economical life. Yeah, we try to, through very small issues, destabilize the mood in a very local society.
Because, as we know, the war has been going on for so many years. And interestingly enough, you brought a physical newspaper with you today. Because in Norway, we talk about all the time how to get younger people to read us online, on the internet, digitally. But what you are seeing now in Ukraine is that the newspaper becomes really important to people because that's a source they can trust. Why is that?
That's actually become not just a newspaper, not just a print media with information or with news. It's a piece of truth, and especially in the frontline cities, in the frontline regions, it's a really crucial. Sometimes it's the sole way to receive the truth. Yeah? In a frontline, it's very usual that we have a lack of electricity. Sometimes people don't have access to the internet. So to get the truth through trusted online channels, it's not always possible. And print and media, it's information, it's a source to bring information where the clean water will be delivered to the local people, to the city, in which point, where you can go and charge your mobile phone, yeah, and call to your kids who are not with you, or where to get a bread, evacuation route. If we will open one of these newspapers, what we will read? How to evacuate from Sumy region. We are talking about Sumy, but we have a lot of regions who are frontline now, But how to evacuate, how to get psychological support, because we know that a lot of people live in these so hard conditions, and we all have it. We all are traumatized, yeah? It's hard physically, but it's also very hard psychologically. So we are written about just really practical tips, where to get psychological support. We are written about people who were kidnapped from the regions. Yeah, we are written about soldiers who were died. It's also like a, source, a platform to memorize of people who also are local, fight, and were killed in this war.
Because as I told you yesterday, like Agderposten, we have a lot of subscribers living in Oslo. And why is that? We don't cover Oslo, but the thing is that we have a lot of people moving to other cities, and they want to read news from where they're from. And this is also the case in Ukraine. Refugees from who have had to escape war zone, they really want to have news from the place they escaped.
But that will not work for print media, unfortunately, yeah, because print media, it's only for the local who are on the ground. To receive the practical, not the news, but the practical information we want to do in case of, yeah. And I feel like right now, during the wartime, Ukrainian journalists, especially frontline journalists who work in the print media, started to feel the real value of a journalism, because what they are reading, it's information which can help you to survive. That's something, yeah, not just news. Yeah,
it's important. As I mentioned, and as we all now know, the war has been going on for a long time. First of all, being a bit personal, before the attacks in Kiev, in 2022, March 2022, you had been booking a hotel room for quite some time.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why? Why was that, Oksana?
Yeah, actually, it was started since autumn, yeah, this topic of the war, it was in the air, and everybody talked about that in Ukraine, I think in Europe as well. And we had a lot of professional talk and try to prepare and try to build the protocols what to do for our newsrooms. We made a lot of practical calls with colleagues, but also we try to manage and plan and prepare a rescue plan for our personal part of the life, for our families. And yes, 2 months before the full-scale invasion, I'm thought what to do if the war will start. I understand that my house is located very close to the military airport. So yes, I booked
the military airport in
Yep.
Kiev. Okay.
Yeah, nearby Kiev. Yeah, and so I decided that the best way will be to book a hotel somewhere closer to the border. So, and it was something which helped us to survive, because when the war started, we had a place where to evacuate kids, and we, not during the first hours, but during the first minutes of the full scale, we was in a car and relocating. And then I start to call to colleagues, and manage all of the professional life. But yeah, but it gave a feeling that you can manage something, you can be prepared for something. But actually, when the war full invasion started, we were not ready, really.
No.
We were not ready, both professionally and psychologically as human. You will never be ready. For such development in your life, just to stay in the morning, and then you just take a look at your kids and think that probably this is last peaceful minutes.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah.
And tough. But I think a lot of Norwegians, or many Norwegians, think the war is going on since 2022. But for Ukrainians, the war have lasted longer. And you were there in Maidan in 2014. Can you tell a bit about that?
Yeah, actually, the war started it's 11 years of the war already. It was not started in 2022. And Revolution of Dignity, it was the first steps. Then civilian people, Ukrainian middle class, decided that they are not agree what Yanukovych as a president wanted to do with our country. It was not really connected with the values, with the most people who were a huge middle class, Ukrainian middle class. We cannot just accept that, and a lot of people went to the streets, went to Maidan in all of the Ukrainian cities, and me as well. I spent weeks on Maidan together with my husband, and we were active participators of a revolution of dignity. And then when I saw how many people were killed, I was actually ready. It was first time when I packed my emergency bag, and it was not like emergency bag which I have today, because today my emergency bag is something about kids. It's some medicines, power bank, some documents, personal documents, just to rescue water, to rescue my kids. But that time I was ready to be mobilized, really, because this feeling that the war is starting right now, it was, And the start was with Crimea, then Donbass, Luhansk region, they became occupied, and most of the people were ready to go to protect the country.
But you also had a long career in journalism. So you started when you were in the early 20s as a professional journalist. Can you tell a bit about that?
Actually, it was my dream to be a journalist, but I am not a journalist. I am a lawyer and economist and financial person, who somehow that happened. But my first job and my first day in my professional life, it was connected only with media. I became a part of the team of daily newspaper. local newspaper, as you are here, in Zaporizhia region. It's a south part of the country, and right now 80% of this region it's occupation, it's under occupation. And I was CEO of this daily newspaper. It started from 1999. And we had a lot of projects and cooperation with the local media, so it was very logically that 17, I think, years ago, I became a CEO of Association of Local Media. So since that, I had a boring part of my work, yeah. Before the full-scale invasion, it was like media congresses, you know, lobbies, interests of local media, increasing professional level of journalists, launching investigative schools, modern journalism schools, something like that, which on the usual market you have such activities, yeah. But the full-scale invasion started, and we decided that we need to concentrate it on survival story. The main goal for us during last at least 3 and something years, it's to protect the press freedom in the local level, in regions, and to keep safe, to keep alive such newspapers as you are, such editorial newsrooms like you are here.
So, what's it like now? We are in August 2025. What's it like to have a newspaper and be a journalist in Ukraine right now?
It's hard and easy, both in one, you know. You know how everyday life of our chief editor looks like. We don't have daily newspapers. Our newspapers are weekly or once per 2 weeks because we have a huge economical crisis. Media market just fall down. All of our subscribers, when we get a revenue before the full-scale invasion, they became refugees or temporary migrated people. So our local newsroom in Sumy, they lost subscribers. They also lost advertisement incomes because they depend from local advertisers, and all of the small local businesses, they also shut down or relocated to more safe places. But
So
they still want to produce the truth. So what to do? And our chief editors, our CEOs of local newspapers, searching for funding. And we try to protect them with money,
Yes.
cover cost for content production. And most of our editors now, they are not just editors. They don't care about the content of their paper. They also are drivers. Using their personal cars, they need to deliver their newspapers, even it's 500 copies or 700 copies. They have to sit in their personal car because probably they don't have professional car, work car. They use their individual personal car as a driver, put a bulletproof vest, put a helmet, and drive 500 copies through the small villages in the region to deliver the paper. And you know, last week I had a talk with Natalia Kalinichenko, CEO of this newspaper,
Yes.
and she told me, you know, Oksana, we have a really great news. And I asked, what kind of news you have? What kind of news? Great news you might have, you know, if you work under the shell and all the time. And she told, eventually we have anti-drones corridors. You know what is that?
No, that you have to explain me. What is that?
It was quite something new for me as well, actually. Yeah, it's a special, I don't know, technological solution to cover the roads. That
So
is
drones
nothing about.
cannot attack you?
Yeah, so drones cannot attack and cannot target the cars which are going through the road. So now Ukrainian local press in some frontline regions, their drones attack are very, very active. They can deliver that more, you know, secure. The delivery process is more secure. Because before that, our newspapers delivering with rescue teams, supported by militaries, so it's very complicated process. Then you have to get a special permission even, to go to the frontline area to deliver that.
But like for my colleague in Bilopil, you talked to her last week. So what's the situation there in our friend city? What did she say to you? She is still a publisher?
She is still a publisher, and we have a lot of really newsrooms and people who are tired and try to loosen professional motivation, and because of that we decided to go even as a soldiers to the army, to the armed forces. But she is still very active. She has a lot of ideas, and this idea of common newspaper for 2 regions instead of 1 newspaper for 1 region, it's also somehow, she always tried to find a new ways of development in their newsroom, and that's really amazing. And the same picture I see in my colleagues. I have here 18 colleagues from Ukrainian regional and local media, and it's the same. We are so motivated, not just to survive, but also open for changes and want to do every day something new to protect themselves and protect their readers.
Yes. And now you arrived in Arendalsuka yesterday. And today in the audience here at Agderposten we have reporters from different regions in Ukraine with us. They are listening to us with a very clever translator app, so I hope you are able to follow us and that it works out fine. But you've been here now for 24 hours. The contrast to Ukraine and what you are seeing here now. What has been your impressions?
It's always we always have a very high impression when we go out of the country to a peaceful place. But to be here in Arendal during the Arendalsuka days, it's something unbelievable, because from one side, a lot of people, everybody talking, a lot of activities and all of this movement. It's like, you feel like too much, but from another side, it's so exciting, it's so amazing that you can meet the mayor of the city, you can meet the member of the parliament.
Was here taking a beer after his big debate on
Absolutely.
the NRK, the public broadcaster. You saw him walking in the streets.
That is something which we would be happy to build in Ukraine. These connections between government, local society, just readers. It's amazing experience which we would like to bring to Ukraine. Even we have a war in the country. We are thinking about how to keep and protect and develop this democratic habit,
And I have to ask you, because right now, here in Arendal and in Norway, we can criticize everyone, the Prime Minister, people with money, we can ask every question we want to. But it's quite the same in Ukraine. You also have, can you publish everything you want? Or how is that? How is it to think about war when you are a publisher or a reporter in a country of war?
Catherine, we, of course, due to security reasons, we have some prohibited things. We have some restrictions. For example, we cannot write and publish some practical things after the shelling. If missile just arrived, we cannot put geolocation or just pictures from this place because of security. Because sometimes we already had the experience then after the pictures, after the photos from the place where missiles or drone was, we had another attack, and the same place was targeted more times, and we have more people killed. So we have some very practical restrictions to secure people. But if we are talking about criticize the government, the local authorities. It's not the issue, the biggest issue really right now. We can do that. We have the voice. We're more affected and we're more influenced with Russia propaganda, with Russian disinformation, with misinformation. That is more influenced on the local media in Ukraine. And now in the war conditions, it's really very easy. And the market fall down, our newspapers don't have any own revenue, and we need just independent only with funding, only with support. This is the sole way to publish newspaper or to run digital media. Only funding, only support right now. And this is a very good situation for local businesses, for oligarchs, for government, for politicians, just to influence on the content which we are published. That's why partnerships with independent partners, with donors out of Ukraine, it's so important in time of war. Because you give us a voice, Then you send us financial support. This is a possibility to be independent and to write and criticize the local authorities, investigate, make anti-corruption investigations. And we are right now, by the way, built a network of local investigators in Ukraine to keep local authorities,
Because, corruption it has been quite a problem in Ukraine.
It's actually not the biggest problem. It's not something institutional. It's not something inside the system. It's more standalone, problems, not like a part of a system as Russia has, for example. But of course, strong Ukrainian regional media, it's the infrastructure of fighting and keep the local authorities and the government, not to make some corruption.
Now in Norway as well, we have an upcoming election, and there is big debates about how our financial budgets should be, which parts of our civil society should get what. What would you like to say? Because in Norway, there is also a debate about how we should finance Ukraine. What will happen to what about ourselves? We talked about this a bit yesterday. Can you what is your opinion on this?
Norway is one of the most supportive country, I think, to Ukraine, to Ukrainian society, to Ukrainian military, to Ukrainian media, actually. But we understand that Norwegian people, as well as Ukrainians, become tired of the war, of this topic, and try to concentrate on the local issues. But in the meantime, we as a media need to remind to our readers, we need to use our sources, media sources, to remind to our readers who will participate in election that you cannot just shut your eyes and think, I am in safe house, that's okay, and don't realize that your neighbor's house are in fire right now. That will influence on your country as well. And this is now really this situation to make to a lot of countries to make a decision on which part of a story you prefer to be. We cannot win alone. We went to the protest in 2014 because we wanted to fight for values, and we wanted to be Europe-oriented. We were ready to die, and we are ready to die, not for piece of land or building or gold. We are ready to die for values, for the right to be independent. And these values we share with you. If some politicians in Norway or in Slovakia or in Romania or in Hungary just forgot about that, the role of media is to remind to our people that, guys, yeah, you live in a peaceful conditions, and this feelings like you was born with the right to be independent, with the freedom, it's just given you from your birth, yeah. But we need to fight for that right now. We are dying for this right to have a freedom right now.
One thing you told me which moved me. In Norway, of course, we have journalist schools and we educate journalists in how to manage artificial intelligence, how to convey journalism in new platforms. But what you have to teach people is basic AR, how to make a tourniquet, how to help themselves. And also a big problem in Ukraine right now is that if something happens to you when you cover something like in the news, you don't have any insurance. Why? How is that?
We have the same professional challenges as you. We also teach our newsroom how to deal with AI. We also fight with how not to lose the quality content when you use all of these AI tools to write, to repack, We also have the same challenges how to attract and engage young audience. We also have problems with social media and how to deal with that, yeah. How to generate a quality traffic on your site. Same challenges, and we are fighting with that as well, and we are teaching people how to deal with that. And we are here, by the way, to experience exchange on these topics. But at the same time, we have something new which you don't have, fortunately, yeah. We also, as association, I regularly prepare for my colleagues a medical trainings how to use tourniquets. And we're doing that systematically because you need to train these skills. Yeah? And each 3 or 4 months, we collected together journalists who are visiting frontline or just journalists who are working in the newsrooms, because actually the missile can fall down everywhere, not just at the front line. We try to teach them and to give them the skills which can help to survive. Yeah? And yes, and as you mentioned with insurance, our war correspondents, they are not protected even by insurance, not with something practical, but with insurance. And we try to find a solution because on a governmental level, we don't have insurance for Ukrainian journalists. Thanks to donors program, partners support, we built a system and we protect more than 1,000 journalists during these 3 and something years.
And now, in March 2022, we didn't do anything else than write about the attacks and the war going on. And now we are here in August 2025, and the war is still raging in Ukraine. We had a president election in the US. What is it like for journalists and people in Ukraine now that things doesn't come to an end? What's it like?
Actually, it was started in February, 2022, and our content was as yours. Ukrainian media wrote the same hard stories, and everything were about what's happening right now. Now, the content of our media changed really a lot. The frontline media concentrated on a really survival stories, survival practical information. And all of media in other parts of the country you can read the stories about recipes or agenda of your local theater together with the stories of victims of the war, of kidnapped people, of how we need to make changes in our local infrastructure, because we have a lot of people with amputations right now, also between soldiers, military people and civilian people. And the content in our local media now changed a lot. We already have a lot of peaceful information because we are human, and we all who are living right now in the war conditions, this is our soul life, and we also want to feel the peaceful life as it was before the war. And we need some peaceful information as well. Yeah, we started to go to the cinema, to eat popcorn there, to have fun, to go to the restaurants, just live a usual life. But between these events, we have a lot of sad stories, because most of our peoples, probably each Ukrainian already have a long list of something or somebody who already lost it, who died protecting the country, who were injured. Everybody.
And as we talked about yesterday, now we know that Putin and Trump are going to have a big meeting. They're going to meet for the first time. And can't we just make some sort of agreement? Can't we just say, okay, you got this, and have an agreement that Ukraine should give up some of their territory and just make some part of peace? But for many Ukrainians, that is very hard. And as you mentioned, and you might say some more about, a lot of people have died. And for what? You feel that just giving in to that would be a kind of betrayal to the people who have fought already? Or can you say something about this?
Katrin, it's very hard question to discuss, really. From one side, because to imagine our reaction and if we will be ready or not ready for some solutions which will be proposed after Friday's meeting, it's really complicated, because each day we have this minute of silence, in Ukraine. Each day at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's 60 seconds and everything stopped. Everybody stopped. And
can you say something more?
Trams,
every day?
It's every day at 9 o'clock, during 1 minute, everything stopped. Cars, buses, metro, just regular people. We have it at school, at kindergarten. It's a 60 minutes just to think about somebody. It's a remembering minutes, just to think about whom you lost. And probably each of us already don't have, need more than 60 minutes just to repeat in our heads what was lost and who was lost. And in this situation, it's really complicated to answer your own question. Will we be ready or not ready to some diplomatic solution or fair solution or unfair solution? We know exactly that all we need justice. And all we, not just Ukrainians, but also people who live here and in Europe and whatever, you need a good example in this story. We don't need to have an example when the enemy, a terrorist, will win. It will be at least unfair. So that's why then people, this is the topic, of course. Yesterday, everybody asked me what I'm thinking about that. I prefer not to think about that. I prefer analyze the news after Friday and then think about that. I prefer to have a plan what to do on Saturday, on Sunday, on Monday, what to do with my team, or what to do with 150 local media whom we support. I prefer to have these plans because I can influence on that, I can manage that, I know people around me, I know our energy and power. I don't know what will be between Putin and Trump. They are both unpredictable. They are not diplomats. They are, so, yeah.
And that is how we're going to finish off this talk, because all these years going by, you are still going on. Keep calm and carry on is a real cliche from the Second World War. As I told you yesterday, in Agderposten we had 2 Ukrainian young girls having Norwegian practice, learning to speak Norwegian. And they were working for us in our social media channels, making little stories about what's going on in Arendal and how they, what they think about the cities and other things they were occupied with. And I showed them around in our old building, because Agderposten has been located in these offices since May. And in the old buildings, there were a lot of newspaper pictures from big dramatic events that Agderposten has been covering for 151 years, actually. We've been here in 151 years now. And they stopped before one newspaper with a big picture of the king in 1945 arriving in Arendal, because we were also occupied. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was a really moving moment when they looked at this picture of our old king, Håkon, and Olaf, I think, his son, the crown prince at the time, the later king. And people were cheering, and they said, so we talked about, so how long did it take for you in Norway to once again be a free democracy? And I said, it took us 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I saw that they said, okay, we can stay longer. We can think about and manage this a bit longer. And that is also something you are very occupied with. That we shouldn't. There's always more things to do, always more you can do, always some things you can do, practical things you can do. So if you could finish off with, you are not settling down. You are not. There's going to be this big meeting with Putin and Trump next week. You are still doing your job. Why?
Because we have hope. Because we want victory. And we made a decision. We choose our way to do the best work that we can do in the place where we are, with people who are with us. And that's really possible because we are not alone, and we have a partnerships, you know. And each small steps doing by Norwegian government supporting Ukraine, or just Norwegians, simple Norwegian person who supports Ukraine, all small and big steps, it's really matter, you know? Because I feel like alone we are just separate drops, you know, but all together we make the ocean, yeah, and yeah.
So that will be your last word from this talk, Oksana. And for me personally, you must say hello to my colleague in Bilopil and say that I look forward to one day she might come here and visit our newspaper. So thank you very much for coming, and I hope you have a good stay here in Arendalsuka and learn more about our political festival. And of course that you will be able to have the same type of festivals all over Ukraine one day.
Katrina, one day I hope that you will have a possibility to come in a peaceful Білопільщина to meet Natara.
Thank you.